Hey guys, how's it going? Shane here, and today I want to talk to you about once again my PJS, my Peutz-Jeghers syndrome, and something I want to talk about today. I haven't really thought about in quite a while, but it was an issue when I was younger. Um, the time period when I started getting really sick with the intussusceptions and things like that, and just right around the time of my first surgery. Um, if you have PJS and you've had the intussusceptions, and you know that they come on pretty quickly, but they resolve sometimes pretty quickly if you can. I used to be able to maneuver mine around. I used to lay like on a rolled up towel on the floor and kind of maneuver mine, and sometimes they would resolve on my own. I mean, it would be painful, it would take a while, but sometimes I could resolve it on my own when I was at home, and it sucked, but I didn't really want to go to the hospital. I would do everything I could not to go to the hospital, and sometimes it was unavoidable. I had to stretch there for quite a while where I was going to the hospital every week just to resolve the intussusceptions. This is just prior to my surgery, but I digress a little bit. My point is, or the message I want to talk about is, when you have this condition and you know that an intussusception might happen at any time, and it doesn't really, at least for me, it didn't really matter what I ate. It mattered if what I ate was going to catch a polyp and intussuscept the intestine inside itself. Sorry. And so that was really hard to gauge, and you can't really I've got a fever, I'm starting to sweat, whatever, I'm going to get sick with an intussusception. It doesn't work like that. So you always have to have that in the back of your mind, that you might have an intussusception or something related to that at any moment. And when I was younger, I had to kind of reserve myself from like social interactions and things like that. I couldn't chance going out with friends or whatever. I did, but I always was guarded about my condition. I didn't want to be isolated from a telephone. This was long before the internet and when everybody had cell phones. I don't want to be isolated from a telephone, contact with my mother, things like that. This is when I was young. This was like when I was still in junior high and just starting high school. And I didn't want to be far from either an ambulance or a hospital. I only had to take an ambulance once. But just with that in the back of my mind, knowing that I could get sick at any time, it altered my social interactions. And I think that might have caused me to have long-term effects where I don't really socialize with a lot of people. There's other factors on top of that personally, but that's a different subject. But I guess my point, my message, my question is, have you ever been to that point where your condition, PJS, controlled your life more than you wanted it to? You had to be kind of guarded, kind of reserved. You couldn't go out with your friends and like go to a big barbecue at somebody's house or something like that, because that big bulky food might just trigger an intussusception, and most likely you weren't around people that knew how to deal with that or knew how to respond to that. And or maybe you just didn't want to chance it being out in public with your friends, and all of a sudden you're just buckled over with an intussusception. Mine were on my left side 90% of the time, and they look like a small Nerf football if they got really bad. I mean, sticking out of my side right there. So after a while, I would just more or less stay home, and I wasn't a recluse by any means, but I subconsciously just avoided some social interactions where I might be just a little too far away from help or family or medical assistance, whatever it might be. And I missed out on some things, not a lot, but I'm just wondering if you've been at that point where you've got this condition and it's always in the back of your mind that I might get sick if I take off on a trip and I'm out shopping or whatever with friends or something, and I might get sick in a mall, and I don't want to go through that. I'd just rather stay home, whatever it may be. I can't remember exactly. This is well over 30 years ago when I was in this time frame of where I was getting sick constantly, but I hadn't had my first surgery yet. And even in school, I remember I was going through a bout in junior high, right before high school. I was going through a period where I would just have to excuse myself from class constantly, and I would end up just laying on the floor in the bathroom. And if you've had an intussusception, at least for me, if you ate something and you got the intussusception, that food is still, mine were just below my stomach, in my intestines, obviously, duh. But if I started to eat and got an intussusception, all that food is still in my stomach, and it wasn't going to go anywhere, so I had to vomit it out. And if I remember right, just getting that pressure or that relief off my system made me feel so much better, and it was just like a light switch sometimes. And that's another thing. So yeah, I would just be in the bathroom in junior high, sometimes in high school, just sitting in the bathroom, kind of catching my breath, trying to cool down, trying to calm down. And most people didn't understand what was going on. Like, you don't have a fever, you didn't need anything bad, it's like, what's wrong with you? And this was long before the internet and people could research this syndrome. Even if they would, if you don't have a syndrome or you don't have a problem, chances are you're not really going to do homework on it unless you're the one that has it. But people that don't have it, they're not going to really care. So externally, it's like, what are you doing? Why are you sick? Is it something you ate? And they always say, it's not what I ate, it's whether or not what I ate is going to cause an intussusception. It could be cereal, it could be corn on the cob, it could be a hamburger, it could be whatever, you know what I mean? It's not a specific food, and people just didn't understand that. But like I said, I'm digressing a little bit. So yeah, I'm just wondering, because I thought about this earlier, if you have PJS and you've had to kind of curtail your lifestyle just because of the risk of being out in public or with friends, and you didn't really want to have them see you going through this ordeal with the intussusceptions or the vomiting. And did it affect your social life to an extent where, like, you feel you missed out on things like that? I curtailed my life a little bit, but I still found ways to interact with people, have friends and things like that. It was more subdued. I didn't, whatever it was, like some people go out and nowadays like ride motorcycles or whatever. I didn't really do stuff like that, but I still found ways to interact with people and still be guarded about my condition at the same time. And yeah, so I think that's where I'll leave it. I'm curious if you've got this condition, or you've got a condition similar to that, where you kind of, like I said, curtail your lifestyle and not participate in activities that normal people would that don't have a condition. And if you do, let me know. Let me know in the comments. I'm interested, because I don't really have any contact other than my 2 children with people with PJS. And so I'm just putting ideas out there, the stuff that's been on my mind and my experiences and things like that. So if you have it, if you have something similar, let me know. Let me know about this question today, about it affecting your lifestyle. And I think that's where I'll leave it right now. So thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. And I will be back soon with another video. Later.